Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys one of my favorite bottom formations, one of the most profitable patterns that I've made the majority of my money following, and it's going to be really easy for the average person that doesn't understand a lot about price action, doesn't understand a lot about technical analysis, to be able to follow this, see it across the board in other altcoins that are bottoming right now, and in turn be able to make that 20, 30, 50, and even 100x return over the course of this bull run. I can just about guarantee that anybody that understands this is going to be able to make profit. We're at the very bottom of the cycle, right into the next bull run, and I can promise you guys that this is one of the most profitable setups that you are ever going to find. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to talk about today's video, and this is going to be the best chart setup that you are ever going to be able to find, because by understanding how the emotions play out, by understanding how the technicals of this pattern plays out, you're going to be able to buy the absolute bottom of market cycles. Now, if you aren't willing to buy the bottom, you're still going to be able to wait for confirmation and get in at the very ground floor before massive price appreciations take place. Like I stated, I made the majority of my money in the last cycle following this pattern, and I'm going to be giving you guys two altcoins today that are doing the exact same thing over again, and I think that in a big way you guys are going to be able to follow these cycles and make a lot of profit off of them. So what we're going to be talking about is the Wyckoff accumulation, and this pattern has played out every single bear market in my entire 7 years in crypto. I have literally seen it every single bear market cycle. And because of that, I was able to make a lot of money off of following it. Now, the way that this works, we have our capitulation, we have our first resistance, we retest capitulation in the range lows, rally back up into resistance, and then we get a third and final capitulation. This one just sometimes sweeps below our two range lows, sometimes it just holds support of. But it's this final and third capitulation that is usually where everybody gets panicked out. They sell their markets, they sell their positions, and then that's right when the market sources liquidity and breaks out. The exact same thing happened inside of 2016 Bitcoin, really 2015 through 2016 when Bitcoin bottomed at $200. It did this exact same pattern. Ethereum did this exact same pattern in this bear market in 2018 to 2019, or I should say from 2018 to 2020. And Bitcoin did the exact same thing inside of our current bear market today. And so we're going to be talking about this and how to actually go about seeing it. Now, first things first, we get our main capitulation, then we make our first resistance. That's this move here. We get our secondary attempt at a breakdown of support, and then we hold. This one gets another attempt at the breakout of the range highs. We get stuffed, and this is what takes us for our final capitulation and the spring. Like I stated, guys, usually in the spring is where the majority of people that were going to panic sell. And that's what we saw with the COVID capitulation. It was a massive black swan event, and it really shook out almost everybody from that market. There was a ton of people, because I started my signals group right here, and there was a ton of people inside of my signals that capitulated right here. And then they never showed up again in my signals. Funny how that works. We literally see the same thing happen after the spring. We get the breakout, we flip the range highs, and that was literally this move right here. I put a ton of money, not all of my, but a majority of my cash went into Bitcoin and Ethereum throughout this period right here. But I saw this happening with Ethereum, and I had a lot of confidence that the bottom was in because we had just broken out of the range high and flipped it as support. And we also confirmed the breakout of a Wyckoff accumulation. And what happened with the price of Ethereum? It instantly skyrocketed into new all-time highs, and it made me about 35x at its peak. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to come over here and take a look at the total market cap, because this followed the exact same thing all over again. And this is why I was so adamant about telling you guys the bottom was in, why I was telling you guys not to wait for 10K, plan for both, but you should be buying throughout this entire period of time. And from that point, we've only continued to see breakouts. Now guys, inside of this pattern, the same thing. We get our capitulation and our range highs. Capitulation, range high. Secondary capitulation, that was pretty much this move right here. Range highs once again. And then we get our final capitulation, and this is the spring, where we come all the way back down and retest the range lows. And that's exactly what we saw throughout this period right here. I was adamant about telling you guys that we're most likely going to be at a bottom because this is in a pattern that I've seen play out so many times. I made so much profit off of it back in 2018 through 2020, and we did the exact same thing over again. And so I was accumulating throughout this period. I was trying to get you guys to accumulate. We were buying inside of my signals group, and from that point, we've only continued to play out exactly as you would expect from a Wyckoff accumulation. Now we're at this point where we're pretty much consolidating around the range highs. In my opinion, this will break the range highs and will rally upwards of about 20, probably 27K. I think that the total market cap will hit 1.15 trillion. We'll pull back down to around this range, and then we'll get our next and final major breakout as Bitcoin rallies upwards of 30, 40, potentially even 50K. It's hard to say how high it's going to go. I made a lot of videos talking about why Bitcoin can overextend higher than people think in the exact same way that it happened back when Bitcoin went from 3.2 thousand to 14K in 2019. The big thing that I want you guys to remember here is this is a bottom pattern. This is an accumulation pattern. And when we break out of this, like we've pretty much already done so far, why I've been so adamant about saying the bottom's in, is because we're literally following this exact same pattern. And this, what happens after we finish this, is a massive breakout into the new cycle. In my opinion, the bottom's been in since our capitulation in November of 2022. Really, all of these lows were our final capitulation, and the fact that we weren't able to break the range lows was proof that the bottom was in. If the third biggest exchange goes bankrupt, many of the other biggest lenders go bankrupt in the market, all pretty much at the same given period of time, that's a capitulation event. If all of that wasn't able to drag the market for a lower low, there's really nothing that's going to, in my opinion. So if you're somebody waiting for 10K, you're going to be very sorry about the fact that you waited, because this thing's going to take off much quicker than you were expecting, and you're going to miss out. Now, guys, let's talk about two altcoins that are going to be doing this exact same pattern, that are at the range lows right now, that you can actually go about making a lot of money off of when we actually continue to break out. Now, the first one on the list isn't going to be doing this pattern, but I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about GMX because of the fact we just made a new all-time high. All of the money in DeFi is leaving Ethereum, and it's going into Arbitrum. All of the smart money people that I know on Twitter, that I followed, that I've seen make a lot of smart calls, they're all going heavy into Arbitrum because they see the value that this is creating. What we're seeing in the biggest crypto built on Arbitrum, being GMX, is it's now breaking out and making new all-time highs. This is in price discovery. This accumulation that we had been in for oh so long is now over, and we are going to be starting a massive move into price discovery. The reason I'm talking about GMX right now isn't because I'm trying to show you guys GMX is a buy, even though I do believe it is. I've been shilling it all the way back down in here, so shout out to those guys that bought. But I'm talking about this because if GMX, the leader of Arbitrum as a whole, is now in price discovery, all of that money is going to be trickling down into other Arbitrum plays. And that's why we're getting into those on today's list. Now, the first one on today's list is going to be Jones DAO. This one is sitting at about $15 million in total market cap. And so if what we're looking at is many of the top DeFi protocols built on Arbitrum sitting at just, $15 million in total market cap, these things have a ton of upside potential. If this hits $1.5 billion in total market cap, which I think is definitely a possibility over the course of an entire 3-year bull run, this would be 100x from this valuation today. That's a huge gain, in my opinion. This is the exact same bottom formation that I've seen so many different cryptos play out with. In fact, we just shared with you guys the example of Ethereum, and that's the one it looks the most like to me. If we come over here and take the cycle of Ethereum, you guys, in my opinion, are going to be able to kind of understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about here. It's the exact same emotions that continue to play out each and every cycle. It can be a little bit different, but as a rule of thumb, I hope you guys are able to kind of get the picture that I'm trying to paint here. It's pretty much the same exact pattern. It's the same Wyckoff, resistance, support, resistance, spring. And then when we flip this as support, that's what sends us into price discovery. Capitulation, resistance, secondary retest, bull trap, spring. The exact same thing is playing out. Now, what happened with Ethereum? It started trending up, broke out of the range highs, and then that's when the real fun started. Where is Jones DAO at today? Well, this is the range highs. Oh, what did it do? It just flipped them as support. That looks a little harsh on the eyes. Let's kind of limit that a little bit. It just flipped it as support. And this one is about to be breaking out. With GMX now in price discovery, all of that money is going to be trickling down into these altcoins in the same way that it did with Ethereum. Ethereum is the leader of value in the altcoin market cap. It's the reason why almost all cryptos that are, not a Bitcoin are created. Nowadays, there's other opportunities, but Ethereum is the staple for altcoins, and it always has been. Now, with many different chains that are starting to take off, with Arbitrum being what I believe is the epicenter of DeFi moving into this next cycle, it's a really important time now more than ever before to look at the DeFi protocols. This is one that's now just about to go into price discovery. I'm not going to try and say exactly what price it's going to, but what we saw with Ethereum after it did this exact same setup, this is where I loaded up a ton of money into Ethereum. I put a ton of cash reserves into Ethereum throughout this period of time. And after that, Ethereum literally just shot straight to $4,500, zero resistance. I'm not going to say that that's exactly what's going to happen with Jones DAO. It's a brand new cycle. It's a brand new trend. We don't truly have any sort of idea what's going to happen until we get there. But this is the same emotions that are playing out at the range lows. Because I made so much money trading this pattern back at those range lows, I'm doing the same thing all over again. I'm taking my money, I'm putting it into these altcoins, following the same pattern, following the strength in the market, except instead of buying Ethereum at 50 to 60 million dollars, or billion dollars I should say, in market cap, instead of buying Ethereum at $15 billion in market cap, I'm buying this at $15 million in market cap. I'm not saying that it's going to hit the same price returns as what Ethereum did, but I think it'll actually hit bigger price returns than what Ethereum did. Keep in mind, I'm talking in market cap. This is sitting at $15 million in total market cap. At 100x, it's only at $1.5 billion. We saw so many different cryptos sitting at those valuations in our last cycle, and with what I believe being the epicenter of DeFi unfolding on Arbitrum, the DeFi protocols are going to do really good. Jones DAO is one of those cryptos, and I think that this thing can take off in a big way. At our peak, we were sitting at about 24 bucks, and so if we were able to hit the all-time highs over again, we're looking at about a 6.5x. I think that these are going to far surpass their all-time highs, and GMX is literally leading the way right now. It's broken out of its previous all-time highs. It's now into price discovery. This is going to set the tone for all of the other ones out there. Now, next up on the list is going to be RDPX. This is pretty much in the same position as the one I just shared with you guys, and that's why I'm talking about him on today's video. It's the same emotions playing out all over again, and I wanted to share them with you guys because of the fact I think it's easy for anybody to be able to see what is taking place. The same pattern played out right here. Retest the range lows, fake out, spring. And now we start the new trend into our bull cycle. It's pretty much the exact same thing as this right here. And so if what we're seeing is the same emotions playing out, the same patterns playing out, we know that this cycle is going to be massive in comparison. Why would you bet against that trend? Arbitrum literally flipped Polygon in TVL. Polygon is worth multi-billions of dollars in total market cap. It's one of the top 10 cryptos right now. Arbitrum has already flipped it in TVL. What that tells me, and what it should tell everybody out there, is all of the money for DeFi is navigating and finding its way into Arbitrum itself. With many of these DeFi protocols being at rock bottom valuations, keep in mind this one's worth about $80 million in total market cap, so it's a lot bigger than Jones DAO, but nonetheless, it's still substantially smaller. I mean, if we hit $1 billion in total market cap, we'd be sitting at about a 10x, and this one is actually going to be another exchange for futures, for perpetual swaps, and all of that stuff, which I believe is going to be a huge narrative to follow, because we saw so many different centralized exchanges and funds go bankrupt in our bear market. Many people, including myself, have already navigated outside of centralized exchanges, and they're focused more on earning yield or using protocols that are decentralized. I believe that this next cycle is going to be massive for decentralized exchanges. GMX is a decentralized exchange. You can future trade on GMX in a decentralized way. Because of that, we're already seeing all of this money going into these. So if what we saw with Binance Coin, how massive of a cycle it had, that's a centralized exchange token, right? It's a centralized exchange, and the token is pretty much centralized as well because they own all of the nodes and stuff. So with that being said, GMX is a truly decentralized option. I believe that smart money will leave and go into these, and that's why we're already seeing them take off. And if you would have bought Binance coin back at $500 million in total market cap, pretty much the same level GMX is at today, you would have literally made about 35 to 40x inside of that bull run. And I think GMX could do even bigger because of the fact there's so many fees that are generated by actually staking GMX. With Jones DAO being at 15 million, it only has to go to 1.5 billion for you to get 100x. With RDPX sitting at about $80 million in total market cap, if this thing ends up doing, multi-billions like I genuinely think it could, we're sitting at a very profitable cycle over the course of this trend. You might not end up hitting 100x, but I think that it's definitely doable. Like I stated in some of my other videos, if you're looking at 100x opportunities, I think that the really big opportunities come when you're sub $100 million in total market cap, but we've seen it happen with $500 million market caps as well. I think that the real value is anywhere from 10 to $100 million in total market cap. That's where the majority of the 100x gainers are going to come. You can find them even lower than that, but the risk is a little bit higher. With so much money flooding into Arbitrum as a whole, these are going to be huge opportunities. And if these do what Ethereum did, we could be looking at a massive move into price discovery before anybody even realizes what's going on. Before the majority of people have even bridged to Arbitrum, we could be breaking out of all-time highs in a number of these Arbitrum altcoins. So I think it's very important now than ever before to bridge to Arbitrum, do some research onto Arbitrum. Arbitrum doesn't have a token, but there's big speculation that they're going to be doing an airdrop fairly soon, and all you have to do to qualify for the airdrop is play around on their protocol. There's a lot of different things that you need to do if you're going to qualify for the airdrop. There's a lot of threads on Twitter if you just search Arbitrum airdrop guide or Arbitrum airdrop Twitter thread. There's going to be a number of accounts that pop up explaining a step-by-step process on how to qualify for that airdrop if and when it comes. And if that's an airdrop that's coming with, in my opinion, the epicenter of DeFi taking place on Arbitrum's chain, I think that could be a massively powerful airdrop to be a part of. It could literally triple, quadruple. You might be able to earn $50,000 just as off of a free token that is given to you. That's all what pays to be early to these protocols. Optimism, OP, that one actually had an airdrop and it peaked at $50,000 worth of value that they just gave out for free. Arbitrum's bigger than Optimism is. And if we see the same thing happen, like there is speculation on, I think it could be even worth more than that. So do your research, check this stuff out. One final thought before we wrap up today's video is why I believe this cycle is going to be so much bigger than prior ones is because of where we're at in the grand scheme of things. We are creating the exact same patterns as what we did all the way back in 2015 and 2016. And where we're at today is the exact same price point as what we were, taking us all the way back over here to 2016, right when Ethereum was worth $4 to $6, and we made our first breakout above the previous all-time highs, retested them as support, and then we went into that massive 2017 bull run. We are doing the exact same thing over again, all over again, the same patterns, and that's why I believe that even though the ROI will be diminished, the more money, the more liquidity that comes into these markets, if we're looking at another 2017 type bull run, these altcoins that are worth, sub $100 million in total market cap, they have a huge opportunity to make that 100x return. Like I've stated, guys, I think that this is the cycle to really bet big on crypto. I might be wrong, but everything in my 7 years of investing is telling me to bet hard, bet long, go heavy into this cycle, because nothing inside of the charts is saying that we're going to have a minuscule cycle by any means. And I believe that this is coming over the next 3 years. I don't think that we're going to get this same, 3 and then 5. I think that what will most likely happen is it'll take 3 years to do this leg up. It'll just take more time to get this type of a move. And then we'll have one final cycle where we're looking at, this next leg up into there. I think this is going to take us upwards of 2028 to 2029, most likely. That's the way that the time frames are working out. I think that this is most likely going to be the last true 4-year cycle that we see, because now it's becoming obvious that the 4-year cycle is a theory. It's becoming obvious that it's a very easy theory to follow along with and make money. Every cycle is bottomed. Every cycle is topped to the 4-year cycle over the last 10 years. So there's a lot of people talking about it. The more people that talk about it, the less likely it is to happen. And that's why I think that this is probably going to be the last true 4-year cycle that we experience. I don't think that it's over by any means. I think we'll still have another high after that point. But instead of seeing, a a normal 3 years up inside of the blow off top, I think it'll only be 1.5 years to 2 years long. It'll be shorter than a true 4-year cycle, and because of that, there will be more profit taking that happens. And so you're better off betting big during this move up, because that is where the profit's going to be made. Profit taking happens in this final cycle, and that's why I think that we still have, the rest of this decade to make a lot of money. I'd say the next 4 to 6 years are going to be profitable for crypto holders, but this next cycle specifically is going to be way bigger than people expect. We have on-ramps like never before. We have institutional adoption. We have ways for people to actually use DeFi being Arbitrum, and with Arbitrum being the DeFi epicenter, in my valid opinion, my very strong opinion of everything that I know, which, take it with a grain of salt, but I really do think that this is going to take off in a big way. So anyways, guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys want to follow my signals, follow every trade that I'm taking over this cycle before I ever talk about them. This is going to be a huge cycle to get into, and so if you want to be able to follow every single one of my trades, see what NFTs I'm buying, see all of the DeFi protocols I'm investing in, now is the time more than ever to get access to that. It's a lifetime membership. I'm going to be teaching you guys everything that I know over the cycle, and if you're getting in now, right before this move comes, I'm telling you guys right now, it's going to be a profitable run to be a part of, and I look forward to seeing you guys in that group. Thank you all so much for the support, and with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.